Good evening and greetings from Tromaville. Tonight we embark on a magical journey into a new era of wonderment for the Troma team. We have consulted the world's most renowned Shakespearean sources and scholars so that we may present to you the most accurate and compelling production of The Tempest ever brought to the silver screen. Our revels now are ended. And these, our actors, as I foretold you, are spirits and are melted into air, into thin air. And like the baseless fabric of this vision, the cloud-capped mountains, the solemn temples, the glorious palaces, the great globe itself, yea, all which it inherits shall dissolve.
Those scat-covered snowflakes are caught in the shitstorm!
I found a cure for opioid addiction. What I didn't realize is that the opioid addiction is a $50 billion industry, enriching the elites. There I was, my life's work stolen from me, betrayed by my own sister, shunned from society. All these years I've been planning my revenge against Avon Bard and all the world. I had Ariel infiltrate their boat and using gallons of whale laxative, lured them to their doom.
How beauteous mankind is, O brave new world that has such people in.
Tis I who's beckoning. Time's up and welcome to your final reckoning. We are such stuff as dreams are made of, and our little life is rounded with a sleep. Woo!
Go.
Perfect. Look at you. Look at you.
Because just for you, Uncle Lloyd.
Wow, this is incredible. What a wonderful treat.
Yeah.
Honor. I would say an honor more than a treat.
Well, welcome to the Warp Dimension. Thank you so much for joining us here yet again.
Thank you.
6 months ago for my podcast originally.
I remember it was like giving birth prematurely.
In
6
a
months.
hot car, but now we're in a studio.
This is great. This is amazing. Wow.
But thank you so much. Also have a Comeback Shock playing on VHS.
Yeah, I recognize it immediately, and it's a beautiful VHS version. Much better quality than the original.
Pretty much an inspiration too for making my documentary about my grandfather in Vietnam and his photos.
Yeah, that's terrific.
So,
well, hopefully I get to see it someday. I'd love to see that documentary.
Oh,
Can you send me a link or something?
Yeah, I'll send you the link. Sundance and Slam Dance just said no, so I can share it away now. So,
Oh, great. That's great.
So,
Yeah, I'd love to see that. That's terrific.
great. Well, just for our audience out there, I'm Benji Carver here in the Warp Dimension, coming to you live with the one and only, 1 second. I like to say Professor Lloyd Kaufman, everyone.
Yes. Yes.
Got the old school binder here for you as well.
Oh, wow.
But Lloyd, you made a new movie that is shit storming its way across the country.
Well put.
Hashtag Shakespeare Shitstorm, or Troma's hashtag Shakespeare Shitstorm. Tell us about this new endeavor at Troma.
Well, actually, it's the movie hashtag Shakespeare Shitstorm is I wouldn't say barnstorming, but I would say limping across the world at very prestigious film festivals. I've got my earphones in. I hope that's okay for the sound.
Oh, you sound perfect out here in the Warp Dimension.
So hashtag Shakespeare shitstorm. In fact, I'm dressed for hunting tonight. Things haven't been too good at Troma, so they turn the heat. The landlord turned the heat off. So what are you gonna do? But Toxie's here behind me, so it's all good.
Yeah. Well, that usually gets rid of the rats, though. The rats will go away to go find heat somewhere else. So, yeah.
Exactly. That's right. That's a good point.
Well, wonderful. We had the privilege of interviewing Brandon Bassam, your screenwriter of hashtag Shakespeare Shitstorm the other day.
Yeah, good guy.
Brandon, I know, had some pretty big shoes to fill for hashtag Shakespeare Shitstorm, because this time you adapted The Tempest, the Bard's The Tempest. So,
that is very correct. Extremely correct.
Yeah. So tell us where that came about. Was this inspired by Tromeo and Juliet and the success from that, or what? How did you want to pick The Tempest to be the next?
You used success in coordination with a Troma movie. That's very unusual. Any rate, no, The Tempest is my favorite Shakespearean play, Benji. And when we were making Tromeo and Juliet, I would have done The Tempest, but I wanted to wait till I became old, like Prospero. And The Tempest is, I think, could be my swan song as far as making movies go. I'm going to become a professional.
Duck Hunter, you're going out for Duck Dynasty auditions, I see.
No, more for humans. I'm a cannibal. But
Oh.
no, that's terrible. Any rate, where were we? We were talking about me.
Yes.
And Shakespeare shitstorms. Anyway, The Tempest. I'm like Prospero now. I can feel Prospero. I'm 75 years old. Like Prospero, I've been banished deeper and deeper and deeper down into the depths and reeds of the underground by the cartel that runs the media. And I make magic like Prospero, except my magic are movies. And The Tempest has a monster, Caliban, and a beautiful, beautiful love story that lends itself to the Troma touch, namely beautiful bodies coming together with no clothes on in an adult manner.
Of course, great Troma fashion there. Bodies will be torn to pieces, but also revealed in many ways.
Yes, and good thing you brought that up, because Eric Fox did the practical effects. He did a big Kong versus Godzilla, and he did Sharknado, and anyway, he did all our practical effects, and they are absolutely amazing. Very funny, and also very wonderful, very surreal. And also, we had some great people doing CGI. It was the first time I've ever used it seriously, without trying to make the CGI look like CGI. In Return to Nuke'em High and Return to Nuke'em High, I used the CGI because we didn't have access to top quality. I used a very self-aware CGI, breaking the fourth CGI wall. And it works. It works very nicely. But this time we've got really, really great CGI. We had a great storm, a great tempest. And we also had the guy, a big time guy who works with George Lucas and all those guys. And he did wonderful, wonderful, colorful CGI toward the end of our movie. So we've had very talented people. And boy, am I boring. I'm sorry.
I was just going to say, I think in Bertol Brecht, the Brecht fourth wall, we'd be very proud of CGI Brecht in a hashtag Shakespeare.
Yeah, that's right. I don't think too many people have used CGI the way we used it in Return to Nuke'em High and Return to Nuke'em High. We did a Brechtian use of it. And speaking of Brecht, right you are if you think you are, Pirandello. All part of the Troma world, all influenced Uncle Lloyd.
The Doddist Uncle Lloyd also on top of that.
I used to go drinking with those guys. I remember 1848 was a watershed year. 1848.
Hey,
right?
you know, It is unlike 2020, I think, actually.
Oh shit! Yeah, you're right. Ours,
So, yeah.
2020 is a watershed down year.
Down here. Well,
Nightmare.
So excited that, and also, this will be shown after folks see it tomorrow night live on Another Hole in the Head here in the Warp Dimension. So hashtag Shakespeare Shitstorm. But also, I'm excited just to have you here because, as I've said about 6 months ago, I picked up a library book at 12 years old at my school library, and I read a book called The Things That the Toxic Avenger, I learned from the Toxic Avenger, and I think that definitely planted the seed here in the Warp Dimension.
Oh, that's great. Well, what better tribute than what you just said? That's wonderful. You know, you can buy an Oscar because you can buy one, but you can't buy me loving, right? I believe Harriet Tubman said that.
And it's wonderful. But the amazing history, it's 47 years, right, of Troma?
Yeah, Troma, exactly. Right you are if you think you are. Yes, 47 years, Pirandello. Not only am I boring, but I'm very intellectual.
Yeah. Well, it's just this amazing history that you've gone there and inspired, and filmmakers like myself and hosts from there.
Well, what are you working on? Are you on a particular project now, Benji?
I have a couple. I won't bore people here in the Warp Dimension.
I'll take care of the boring part. You.
I have a feature length film. I sent you the short. You also promoted one of the shorts that inspired my feature length. Life is Cheap.
Yes.
Played on Troma
Sure.
now.
That's why I was asking. I wanted to plug you.
Yeah. A great friend of ours, mutual friend Sebastian Cortez, who works Masked Singer now. Weirdly enough, makes those crazy outfits. Was the one who passed along your info to me. So
that's great. Well, terrific. Thank you, Matt.
But thank you, Sebastian out there. Big fan of
Sebastian too. More syllables than Matt.
Oh yeah, Matt of course too. Matt out there. R.I.P.
Yes.
But what you call it? Yeah, inspired Matalos, a feature-length film that hopefully will be doing it. But also,
great.
I would take the opportunity to say, I know that Troma is always looking for more stories. Where is Surf Nazis Must Die Part 2? Because I feel like we lived that year just now. I think that's very.
You're right. I think that's your job. You and Peter George. He's the genius behind Surf Nazis.
Where is Peter these days? I just watched the amazing 4K version of it on YouTube of all places. So,
what did you watch? I beg your pardon?
Surf Nazis Must Die has on YouTube has a 4K version.
Well, Surf Nazis Must Die is a Troma classic, but Peter George is the director, so he is based in New Orleans, I believe, creating hurricanes or something. Very creative.
Creating his own Shakespeare shitstorms, as we might
say. Could be, yeah. No, he's a great guy, and he would love to hear from you. I'm sure he would love if you came up with the money to make part 2. I'd come up with a little dough.
Yeah, we'll talk more about that because definitely New Orleans is a great place, I think, to film something like that.
Yeah. Oh, definitely, during the rainy season, especially.
We actually just premiered last night in the Warp Dimension a great short film from a New Orleans filmmaker as well. That they made all these TV monitors called Mama's Little Orphanage. All these kids trapped in VHS TVs.
That's clever. That's great. That is very clever and scary too.
I'll pass it along to you as well. I'll check in with Matt Martinez. Is his name. So,
oh, great. I may know Matt. I may know him or know of his name.
He stole Joe Dirt's organs in Joe Dirt 2.
There you go. That's it. I knew the name rang a bell, a very dirty bell. Joe Dirt bell, rather. What? Wait a minute. I had one other thing to say about that. Oh well. Well, keep going. Whatever we were saying.
Keep it. Oh, I was going to talk more about Brandon because Brandon, we have is on the. He is the award-winning filmmaker of The Slashing the Final Beginning, our audience award for best comedy.
Isn't that great?
Loved it. Loved someone's cameo also in it, teaching us how to self-defense. So at least for a paycheck.
Thank you.
as well.
Mel Brooks Jr. Thanks you.
But how did you find Brandon? Because again, these shoes are so big because he's kind of like the next James Gunn, Trent Haga.
Yes, he's incredibly talented. You betcha. And I think I hope he'll keep making some movies with me. So we'll see what happens. He's got some new projects that he wants to do, so I'd certainly go for it. As long as he knows he's not going to make any money. That's the biggest problem we have, Avenger. We don't really make any money. And the only thing right now, here's the existential, as they say, existential issue. Troma Now. It's a great streaming service. Thousands of movies, more than my resume, and shorts and documentaries like a wonderful Tom Seymour documentaries, and 3 or 4 of Brandon at Brandon _ LOL on Instagram. Follow him. He's hilarious. We've got a great streaming service. It's a great Christmas gift. Watch.troma.com. If you could please give it a plug here and there, because that's our main source of income right now. And I think so at any rate. Yeah, I'm pretty sure. And that's an existential thing with Troma. We're paying all our staff. And, Michael Hers and I haven't had a paycheck for a long time. But we're keeping the doors open, paying all the staff, which is more than Disney and the cartel are doing. So sign up for Troma Now and not only support new young talent like Brandon and James Gunn's and Eli Roth's and Samuel Jackson's of the future.
Oh, Death by Temptation, a great
that's right.
urban vampire film.
Maybe our best movie, really. When you look at all our films, all we did was finance it, and I shot some of it.
I think Squeeze Play is pretty good. So
well, Squeeze Play was the raunchiest of them, and it was very, very successful, no question about it. It was in between Rocky. It was sort of halfway between Rocky, on which I worked, and Cry Uncle, which was an X-rated movie by John G. Avildsen, on which I worked. So it was sort of between those two movies. And we got there ahead of Porky's and, that kind of wonderful raunchy comedy that were genuinely funny and yet, had some cute people in them.
I'm in the process of procuring, we do VHS nights here on Wednesdays in the Warp Dimension, a copy of John G. Avildsen's Neighbors.
That's a great one too. All John's movies. He was sort of my. In fact, we dedicated #Shakespeare Shitstorm to John G. Avildsen, Terry Jones from the Pythons, with whom I was friends for a long time, and obviously the Pythons are a huge influence on us with the cartoon humor, except they're much funnier. And Stan Lee, with whom I worked, and we're friends. More important, we're friends. We wrote one script together that got optioned called Night of the Witch, but we were really good friends, and Stan appeared in about 10 Troma movies under the credit Peter Parker because he was in the Union. I didn't want to get him into trouble.
Oh, yes. In my situation is Leonardo Delise shows up, not Benji Carver anymore. Leonardo, he works for the Italian cinema market, the underground.
Yes, very prominent. He was one of Fellini's students, if I remember correctly. We also dedicated #Shakespeare Shitstorm to my wicked stepmother, Sigrun, who was a big influence on me and took care of my father, put up with my father for 35 years. So,
but something about #Shakespeare Shitstorm is you filmed it not only in New York, but I believe somewhere in Croatia, from what I've been in my research.
Even better than Croatia, Albania.
Albania, there we go.
Yes, if you know your geography, Albania is a very large country that sits right off of the Straits of Hormuz. It's about the size of Greenland, and they're noted for their wonderful vegetables and fruits and the traditional Albanian CGI which they've been doing for generations. Yeah, we filmed 8 days in Albania, thanks to former Troma alumni, Justin Martell, who discovered the fact that Albania was trying to find bring in American Western movies, the way Bulgaria and excuse me, Justin is playing music in the background. Hold on one second. Justin, please, can you stop? Yeah, nice. Sorry, but Justin, specializes in unusual places, and also he's a talented filmmaker in his own right. Anyway, he presented Albania to us and us to Albania, and they gave us a wonderful, wonderful deal on crew and CGI and all sorts of stuff that I don't want to be a spoiler about. And Justin Martell, who started off as my assistant and has gone on to produce Joe Bob Briggs' show, among other important things. And John Brennan also started as my assistant and was associate producer on Return to Nuke'em High and Return to Nuke'em High, which Justin Martell produced. And now the two of them, along with the retired film commissioner of the great state of New York, Pat Swinney Kaufman, the third producer on #Shakespeare's Shitstorm. And a great collaboration, and an honor to work with all of them, let me tell you.
Yeah, I think that's something great. I was going to highlight, John Brennan was such a great help getting Life is Cheap to Troma as well. I remember that was who I was communicating with. And
he loved that film. He's well, actually, John Brennan introduced me to Mr. Brandon, Brandon underscored LOL. It's funny. It's hilarious how you you learn some of those, but the others, there's no way I can remember them, and there some of them are really people that are very close to me, and I can never get them to the name on Twitter. I can never find it because they have, something, they got their name backwards or something.
You're missing an underscore somewhere.
Yeah, or just, some obscure, they turn their name upside down or something. Anyway, back to you. What were we talking about?
Oh, we were just talking about John Brennan a little bit. That's all.
Yeah. Oh, he's great, and yes, he's a wonderful creative guy, and all his music, is he's Joe Bob Briggs's orchestra guy. Like Colbert has that wonderful jazz player name I can't remember. John Brennan's is writing all the music for Joe Bob Briggs and The Last Drive-In. And there's about 8 Troma alumni who are working on Joe Bob Briggs's Last Drive-In.
Yeah.
So Joe Bob Briggs, I'm warning you, look out.
Well, you haven't met Benji Bob Davis yet in the Warp Dimension. My cousin, he comes in once in a while, so as
terrific.
Well, he may or may not be the nephew of Joe Bob Briggs via surrogation. So.
Separated at birth.
Separated, yeah, like Elvis and his twin.
Yeah, that's right. Exactly. Right.
So, well, I mean, that is such the wonderful thing about it is what's Troma going on with the next generation. Something we highlighted here at Warp Dimension Fest. We had an amazing group come in and show their work. So. That is something I really appreciate, Uncle Lloyd, Professor Lloyd out there, is that it's not only, it's people like yourself and, of course, the Cormans of the world that teach us how to make a movie, how to get it shown somewhere, even if it is the question of getting, money off of it as well. But it's something that keeps that spirit going. So I thank you for that.
Yeah, you don't need money anymore, right? You can make a movie on a, using a toothbrush, you can make a movie, apparently. So, the money isn't it. Now it's basically your talent as a writer and whether you have anything to say. And watching a lot of movies, it doesn't hurt. Quentin Tarantino worked in a video store, watched movies all day, and is a big Troma, he discovered Troma. So he really had to dig deep into that bargain, that tray where they have 99-cent giveaways. So the point is, watch as many movies as you can, and you'll develop a style. Even Picasso. In fact, I'm watching a Bob Dylan documentary Rolling Thunder. I think it's directed by Martin Scorsese, but
Yeah.
it's very good. It's great, and you can see Dylan getting the craft down. You know, playing Woody Guthrie and Leadbelly and you know, Uranium Belly and all the great bellies. And you see him developing his craft the same way Picasso was a very good draftsman before he went nuts and did all that crazy stuff, which we all love. I like that a lot.
Whatnot, yeah.
Especially if you're on Ayakathwa. Any rate, it's very true. You know, you need to immerse. You have to really love it, I think, or you want to work your way up the food chain in Los Angeles, you know, with the gatekeepers and try to do it that way, which is not a bad idea either.
Put some sunglasses on, and I think
Well, yeah, you know, that's not a bad way to go. You have to use your lips like a woman, but what the fuck? Why not? For
dolphin lips, dolphin lips, like we've seen in the great Troma 4 and
yes, Dolphin Man.
Exactly. Get you a long way.
Dolphin Man did get a long way, as did Uncle Lloyd. Uncle Lloyd tried, but never could do it properly. But they're good people out there. They're great people in the mainstream who come out of Troma, the best people in the world. James Gunn and Eli Roth and Trey Parker and Matt Stone are the sweetest guys you'll ever meet. And so, they're all nice people. And so there's some of the, I'm buddies with a few stars, and they're the best. And they are lovely. But unfortunately, the vast majority are not exactly the best. And that's the problem with trying to work with them.
Oh yeah.
But you've got a magnetism. You're a nice guy, and you've got great posture. That's for sure. And you make a good movie too. So you have to make that judgment. James Gunn, once he learned some craft, he wanted to really be able to have enough budget to make really great masterpieces. And Guardians of the Galaxy, both of them are masterpieces on $200 million budget, and Tromeo and Juliet, which he wrote and had a lot to do with. He was associate director. That's a masterpiece of its world.
Yeah.
I don't know what. Wait, the Museum of Modern Art had a Shakespeare series. They only showed about 12 movies, and they showed 3 Romeo and Juliet movies, and Tromeo and Juliet was one of those Shakespeare movies, and it was the only one where the theater filled up.
Well, I mean, Lemmy brings the crowd as well too. That's always
Lemmy. He was the best. He was the nicest guy in the world, and we dedicated Return to Nuke'em High and Return to Nuke'em High to Lemmy, actually, who also, like Stanley, was in a bunch of our movies, and never charged us. Just a good guy, nice guy, very generous.
Yeah. Well, I will definitely one day probably be teaching high school theater and English class. I will be using Shakespeare Shitstorm as an example of how you can adapt.
Wonderful. Well, also, I think that Return to Nuke'em High and Return to Nuke'em High have some great themes to show the older children, the ones who've advanced a little bit. But they're great. There's stuff about bullying and LBGTQ and junk food, and there are all sorts of amazing people with good posture, people with bad posture. But I guess that you have to be 16 or over. Yeah.
Yeah, 16 is appropriate. In Europe, you can drink at 16. Why not?
I could drink all my life. Well, I guess I did end up as a drunk.
Or you just had to reach the bar. Which, speaking of a bar, there is news about an amazing little person actor named Peter Dinklage, maybe doing
going to be Toxie, going to be wielding the mop in the Toxic Avenger, $1 billion. I think that's brilliant casting. And Macon Blair, I tell you, if he actually gets to direct this movie, if they actually go before the cameras, this is going to be a great big time remake. It's going to be better than any of the Toxic Avengers that preceded it, and I would say better than at least 59 of the 62 Batman movies that have been made.
Did you see Tenet by chance? Did you experience Tenet somewhere?
I missed it, but I did want to expose myself to COVID by going into a theater and killing myself. But
I could send you straight from the factory a copy to piss off old Nolan. So,
well, Nolan's a brilliant. He's a genius, but you know, he can't always be perfect. And you know, Hitchcock. I think his best movie is Marnie, which was a huge flop, and yet just last year somebody wrote an opera that's quite successful about Marnie. You know, it's been in the fullness of time a big hit. So you never know. It may be that Nolan went one way and you know, everybody's colon went the other way. What are you going to do? I know this Kaufman is going the wrong way.
It's so great you mentioned Marnie. I think is like I've been calling it it's the first Me Too movie, hashtag Me Too movie. So,
well, it shows you how universal Hitchcock was. I never looked at it that way, but it's certainly one of the most romantic and perverted movies that have ever been made, and it's so subtle and so weird. It's got the painted backdrops, and they process horse riding, and you know, it's just this weird thing. I can see why it's a perfect opera. You know, and how cool was Sean? They both were great, and Tippy.
I'd also like to acknowledge Bruce Dern is also in it for a quick.
Yeah, you're right. That's right. And he came back to Hitchcock in Frenzy. Was it not Frenzy?
Family Plot. Family Plot.
And the Family Plot, right. What was it? It wasn't Frenzy? Was he in both?
British one, I think. Maybe he might have showed up for a brief moment. Frenzy was great, sexualized Hitchcock, unfiltered. So.
It was terrific. They all were great. I mean, they just were different. It was like, and the same way that hashtag Shakespeare shitstorm, you know, maybe not all my fans will like it. It does have, I think about half of my fans don't like musicals, and hashtag Shakespeare shitstorm does indeed have some singing and dancing. But it's only it's the bard's wheelhouse. That's what Shakespeare wanted. So you know, I want to be true to the bard to some extent.
Yeah,
but
I mean, literally, people were in shit watching the Bard originally.
Yes, that's very true. They could easily have that happen to them. Yeah. Life was a shitstorm back then.
It was blanking on the year of Shakespeare's time, but I say is that's the version of 2020 in some ways. 1970.
Well, the plague wasn't too much fun.
Yeah. On that end,
that's why Monty Python is so funny, and it's wonderful. Bring out your dead. Bring it. Every time I was just thinking about those guys. It's the best.
Oh yeah. Did you ever by chance see, not to get off on Shakespeare shitstorm, but did you see Terry Gilliam's final masterpiece, The Man Who Killed Don Quixote, by chance?
No, I didn't, oddly enough, but I did love everything else of Terry Gilliam, and I did not see that. I've got to get that. Yeah, I did see that tragic documentary about when he was being prevented by mediocre people from making his masterpiece.
And I love the remake that you did of it called Terror Firmer as
well.
Yes. Thank you. That was the
Terror Firmer is, I think, until hashtag Shakespeare shitstorm, my craziest film, and it's all about making a Troma movie and the independent artist versus the mainstream, and most personal film as well as the craziest film. So I think you'll. It took a while for that movie to catch on, but now we can't print Blu-rays fast enough. So Terra Firma and Lemmy's very funny. Trey Parker and Matt Stone also in that. There's a special. I don't want to spoil it, but a public service announcement. And James Gunn and all sorts of people are in that movie. It's a great movie, crazy movie. Eli Roth is in Terra Firma. Gabe Friedman has a big sign, big scene. Gabe Friedman, who wrote Poultry Guys, Night of the Chicken Dead. It's a crazy movie, but a lot of fun, and it has aged very well. my wife, the commissioner, just saw it with me in Austin, Texas, on a big screen just before COVID, and there were 300 people there on a Wednesday night, no less, and they were roaring with laughter. They loved it. Couples too. It wasn't just kids, boys. It wasn't just boys dressed in black with the long beards. It was, good-looking couples and old people. Pretty mixed, diverse, shall we say, audience. It was
I
great.
think Terra Firma is very one of your most diverse films. On top of it, I think it
Yeah.
all ranges. My personal favorite, next to Surf Nazis Must Die, I think
Oh,
those
thank
two
you.
that most inspired me to pursue Troma after reading that little book when I was 12 years old in the library. So
Oh, that's
next,
so nice. Well, nice to know that one of my books was in the library. And then you joined the Nazis, you say? You
well, definitely we've been hacked by a couple of digital Nazis here in the Warped Dimension a couple times.
I wouldn't doubt it. The ACLU is there for you.
Oh
The
yeah,
Southern Law Institute also.
and Rick Schroeder and, and all those.
Well, you're very well informed. You're well informed, boy. That's great. How do you keep informed? Benji?
I read the New York Times mainly, and then I also, I came back to Twitter because of Warp Dimension. I left Twitter in 2016. I was done with it. Did Instagram mainly just because I like posting photos and being on it. And then came back to, and so Twitter and I have been seeing each other again.
Nice, nice. Well, their stock has been going up probably because you're back.
Oh yeah.
I got thrown off Instagram with about 40,000 followers for nothing really, something very wrong. They made a mistake.
The thought police, they're coming for us. 2 + 2 = 5, Uncle Lloyd. 2 + 2 = 5. When I say
I right you are if you think you are. That's Pirandello, right?
Yeah.
We talked about Pirandello already. Yeah.
A little bit. Now it's
It's
texting
like Rashomon, right? You see the truths in how many different ways, or in Inspector Calls. That's another one. I think that's who wrote that? Clifford Odets or somebody long forgotten.
Yeah, I love Odets. The Big Knife is something.
Yeah,
else.
that's right. Robert Aldrich, and that's a good one, right? That's a very good Aldrich film. Yeah, is that Jack Palance or
right there? I think.
What's that?
I think The Big Knife is really a good one to be made nowadays too, with especially Rod Steiger's performance as the studio head.
Yeah, the whole thing was great. Yeah, well, that's a classic. That's a really good movie.
Yeah,
It's it's one of those movies people don't remember. Sweet Smell of Success, another one. A dark movie, kind of about The Big Knife was about our business, right? Or no?
Yeah, it was about.
Yeah, agents and yeah, that's right. With Steiger, the studio guy. Yeah, they Sweet Smell of Success was about the world of press agentry and fame and it's dark. McKendrick directed it. It's really dark. And when Theodore Gershony was directing Sugar Cookies, he kept talking about McKendrick's Sweet Smell of Success, and he wanted the male protagonist to be very similar to one of those guys, and also to Alan Patricof, who I think is still alive. I think to some extent Ted saw Patricof, our protagonist, male protagonist, looking like guess what, Patricof, and acting a bit like Patricof, who was a big wheeler dealer and a very good looking dude and a wonderful man.
Speaking of more of this, kind of that era, did you see Mank, Fincher's new movie?
Just Mank, you say Mank?
Yeah, Mank.
Yeah, I just started yesterday. Well, Pat and I, the commissioner and I, just started, and I don't know. What do you think? I thought it was kind of boring myself. What do you?
I think that's interesting. It's a beautiful looking movie. Theaters were opened up for a very brief time, and I did go out to see it in a theater. The projector was a little too dark, so I didn't. I actually think that there was a technical thing.
Did they
I,
black? Was it black and white when you saw it?
It was black and white, but the certain shadows just looked like it was the projector needed to be turned.
Oh, well, they did look good on our widescreen television.
Yeah, I think that might have been a better viewing option.
But still, it seemed boring. I don't know. We only saw one episode, or we may have switched to the View. I think the View was much better. No, cut that out. I hate that View. I hate that show.
I think it's a movie that it's a tribute to his father as well. Is it something? Is it as catchy as Fight Club, Seven, the more standard Fincher films? No. But I'm a huge fan of Zodiac, which I think is
Fincher.
Fincher also.
Well, hey, if Mank brings young people to Orson Welles or to Mankiewicz, All About Eve, or just bring some of them back to those great classics, great American auteur classics made under horrifying circumstances compared to the supposed freedom of speech we have now. And it will have served its purpose just in doing that, right? If people get interested in that era and watch some of those movies, wonderful films, great artists, right? And like Uncle Lloyd, they enjoyed a good belt every 10 minutes.
Well, I think I would say, and you're right. There, the pacing was off on Mank a little bit. I would say maybe I would recommend Ed Wood as an alternative to the film industry black and white movie.
I take offense at that too, quite frankly. Why is Warner Brothers want to brainwash people with hey, you want to see what independent filmmakers are? They're just clowns who dress up as women and run around and make the worst movies ever made. Why that? Because they want that. They want to get rid of independent competition, and they're doing a great job. And I mean, it's a great film, the Wood movie. But why didn't they make a movie about Roger Corman, right? A successful, a great artist, well-educated and funny as fuck. And I'm sure he has a great personal story and a great guy. I've met him. I'm friends with him for 50 years. So, that's a propaganda film, that Ed Wood. I hate that film. And I know it's beautifully made, but Leni Riefenstahl's Triumph of the Will was beautifully made. It's a propaganda film to show the public how we independents, we're just goofy little people. So don't worry if net neutrality goes away. Don't worry if Benji and Hole in the Head goes away, or they put another hole in the head into a hole in the head, right? It's insignificant. It's just they're just jokers like Ed Wood, right? Now that's my take on that movie. And I know it's a great movie. It's a wonderful piece of art, but it's also a brainwashing thing that I disapprove of.
There's a great Joe Dante script that I know has been floating around for years. They must have did it with Bill Hader about Roger Corman taking the trip.
That's got to be good. That's great.
So hopefully they'll get that one made at some point.
Yeah, for those of you out there, The Trip was written by Nicholson, right?
Oh yeah.
But, yeah, and it's a wonderful film. Again, way ahead of its time, and it's a beautiful film. I saw it in England on in a movie theater with a brand new print, and Corman made good movies, I tell you. And those House of Usher movies, the Poe movies that are revamped, whatever you call it, restored. They look like Claude Chabrol. They look, except they're 10 times more entertaining. They're wonderful.
Yeah, no, they are. Actually, Shudder just re-released them all. So I got to Fall of House of Ushers and
yeah, they're great.
Death.
That's terrific. That's great. Yeah,
but there's actually a feature film I'll give a shout out here, playing at another Hole in the Head Fest. It's called Stray Dogs, and it's literally, to me, was how they filmed it. And that wasn't their intention, but they filmed it like they did Ride in the Whirlwind and The Shooting, where there was just 4 of them getting together and shooting in the mountains for a month. Kind of thing. So I highly recommend checking out Stray Dogs if you can, Uncle Lloyd.
Yeah. Well, how do I see it? It's also it connotes a bit of Sam Peckinpah. Is that element within Stray Dogs? Is
More
it a play on? Is the word a little bit Straw Dogs?
more like Old Yeller that deals with the death.
Oh
So
my
yeah.
God, that's hilarious.
But the filmmakers are great guys from all over. There, one's in Baltimore, the other one's in San Francisco. But they
Well, you've got my email
together.
and you've got Tom's email. I'd love to see it. Sounds great.
Yeah. David Sparrow is a big fan of Warp Dimension as well. So
Well, who isn't a fan of Warp Dimension? Thank you for having me on, by the way. I'm very, very
new. We're a
appreciative.
new thing. I mean, essentially, we're like, we were heavily inspired by Joe Bob coming back, and then the pandemic, and
Well,
then
you and Joe Bob, I tell you, you're keeping the tradition alive.
yeah. Thank you so much on that.
Well,
I mean,
thank you.
we'll maybe get ourselves our own Marcy, the Hale girl, we'll call it.
Yeah, definitely.
Diana Prince.
I forgot, where are you located again?
We are located just outside of San Francisco. So.
Oh, well, hey, there's all sorts of, excuse me for snorting, but there are all sorts of Marcy, the male person. You're in the perfect place for it.
Yeah, I also like to say that we are the interdimension on the left, the last interdimension on the left.
Mm.
To 666, but 667 is our address. So
that's
neighbor of the beast. So,
that's great. That's terrific. That's good.
Is Anton LaVey is technically our neighbor. So
well,
so.
You're in good hands. You're in good neighborhood.
But we're more fun here. We don't use humans as furniture.
That's good. Very good.
we like things that are nice and bright and shiny.
Well, it's certainly different and it's beautiful. It's lovely compared to what you're looking at right now. Old fat guy in a hunting outfit.
going. Well, speaking of which,
they turned off the heat. Yeah.
Oh, sorry. I was speaking of which, you're also on Joe Bob's show this past summer for Troma's War.
Oh, that was well. I kept getting confused. When can I talk about it? Yeah, that one I can talk about, and that was great. What fun and great questions, great show, and Justin Martell, John Brennan, Matt Mangiarides, and Yuki,
Yuki,
our art director on #Shakespeare Shitstorm. I swear, there's Justin told me there were at least 8 people, graduates or victims of Tromaville, who are producing Joe Bob's show. And how cool is that? And Joe Bob discovered Troma how many years ago too? He was probably onto us before anybody. Yeah. So what a nice and what a great show. It's interesting. It's intellectual. They show great movies, and every Friday it's wonderful. And, and I appreciate it going on. The commissioner went on with me too.
Yeah, that was an amazing having you and the commissioner on there as well and talking about your experience, because I know that was a very heartfelt made movie that the MPAA just butchered.
Yes, that was it was a cursed movie, unfortunately, on every level. Every time we would go to VHS or to DVD, there was always some kind of a ratings thing or something. But thanks to Joe Bob, I got to go even the next step up to you, Benji. So thank you, Joe Bob.
Thank you, Joe Bob.
You're going to get me on to The View. I know it. I want to be on The View. I want to be on with what's her name? Goldie or whatever her name. Goldberg. I want to be on with her.
Well, I've been bugging Joe Bob on Howling Part 7, The New Moon Rising.
Oh.
I don't know if you remember that. It was made on a dime somewhere in California, and it wasn't technically a Howling movie, but they just slapped it with a Howling on it. It was never finished, but Joe Bob talks about it a lot, and hopefully he'll be showing it soon. We'll be showing it actually next month in the Warp Dimension. We have
excellent, great. Who is credited with directing?
I will be right back because I have the VHS copy.
You have to what?
Where is it?
Oh yeah, I remember that movie. It was directed by Howling 7 was directed by Steven Spielberg right after E.T. I think it was in between E.T. and the book about the movie about the slave boat.
Yeah, and
yes,
Toby Hooper. Ghost directed it as well.
Oh, good. Oh, he's great. He's terrific.
But,
Yeah, the late Toby Hooper, right? I think
oh,
he's the late, I believe. Or am I wrong?
what was the last part?
The late Toby Hooper.
The
I
late, yes,
believe. Yes.
did pass on a couple years ago. Huge
Nice
fan.
guy. Very, very nice guy. Really nice guy.
But yeah, this is Howling Part 7, and I believe the director, who I think Steven Spielberg was, I can't see in this darkness here, but I think Steven Spielberg did direct this movie.
Gerard Damiano, was that ring a bell?
Riodolo De Niro, some Italian director under a fake name.
Nice.
But that'll be playing in the Warp Dimension next month.
Terrific.
Along with Combat Shock.
Oh man, Combat Shock. Wow. That is the darkest movie ever made, and a great movie. And if you want to see another great Gervasio movie, what's his name? Something G, Buddy G. He calls it Buddy G. He's a great guy, and he made a movie called Hot Time in Cracktown. Hot Times in Cracktown.
Oh wow.
With Kerry Washington, where Kerry Washington plays a transsexual person, and she's terrific. And the movie it's brilliant. It's great. Again, really dark, but much better quality than Combat Shock. And Buddy's doing great. He lives in Germany and makes his. He has a TV series in German, and his wife is a lovely, lovely person. In fact, when we did Troma Dance in Berlin a couple of times. The fans put it on, and we had dinner with Buddy and his beautiful wife, who's from East Germany. So great, that's a great one. If you haven't seen it, crazy. Hey, what happened to my big interview with the San Francisco Chronicle?
I know. I was gonna ask about this. They were supposed to hit you up. They wanted
They never contacted us.
No.
Tell Tom probably was asleep at the switch. Can you tell Tom and remind him and whatever the email was?
Yeah.
That'll be good publicity for you and make my wife proud.
Yeah. We'll get you all the way on the left coast here.
Yeah, very important.
I mean, it's interesting in this time because in June, all the horror sites, the main ones shut down for a while too. Fangoria shut down and Birth Death Movies because of all that huge thing with Cinestate. So getting a festival like this promoted is kind of an interesting. We gotta think outside the box a lot more at this time. So
good. Well,
but Brookmore and Fangoria have been helpful what they can for this end of it. So
good, very good.
But what's can you tease anything? What's next with the Troma wheelhouse that might be coming up once we're all vaccinated, our microchips are in?
Well, I think it's very important that you go and watch #Shakespeare Shitstorm. I think the next American stop is the Boston Science Fiction Festival. So go there and watch #Shakespeare Shitstorm. But once we get through this nightmare, we'll get it into the usual theaters that will play a Lloyd Kaufman, a film de Lloyd Kaufman, which is not that many, but and a lot of them I go to. So if anybody wants me in their theater or anybody wants to curate a Troma weekend, once this plague is over, I'll be happy to join. Once the China virus is over. Batman got COVID, right?
Oh yeah, he did. Yep. Yeah. You wear Batman because he was. Oh no, he's not a werewolf. He's a vampire.
Yeah. No, he was at. He had some of his bat soup in his bat cave, and sort of like this guy this British man who's one of the first to receive the COVID shot. A British citizen. He's 80 years old. His name is William Shakespeare. He's one of the first to get vaccinated. I thought that was fantastic. That was fantoxic. #fantoxic.
Well, it's funny because my mom was engaged to a William Shakespeare Native American. He claimed to be.
Wow, wow.
At one
Amazing.
point. That relation didn't last, but but when she told me she was dating William Shakespeare, I was like, all right, is he gonna
great.
write
That's
a good
terrific.
play this time? So,
She was but she ended up breaking Bard.
yeah, Breaking Bard, exactly. They went their separate ways, as
Exactly.
Romeo and Juliet really did in the original version.
No, it's
So-
Romeo and Juliet. That's the
Romeo and
amazing thing
Juliet.
about James Gunn. James Gunn went from Tromeo and Juliet, a movie that promotes incest, to writing Scooby-Doo, which was the biggest hit in Warner Brothers that summer. And it did have a bit of farting and, you know, I think a little of James Gunn's darkness and a little of his Troma-ish.
Yeah.
We're in Troma, Scooby-Doo, which gave it just that right touch, the magic touch.
Yeah, I know
And-
there's a director's cut floating around up there that Velma is LGBTQA, and stuff like that.
Oh, wow.
They had a
Okay.
cut for the first movie, so yeah.
Oh.
I remember I ditched school that day to go watch it with my friends. So,
That's great. That's terrific.
so good old Scooby Doo. I would also like to say the Amazing Super with James.
Mm, yes.
Yeah.
The movie's all right, but how about my performance in that movie?
Hey,
Like
there you
I'm
go.
the 9/11 guy, calling 9/11. But one more important, it's a great movie, and everything James Gunn does is great. He is talent personified and a great guy. But how about the fact that Elliot Parker?
Oh, Elliot Page.
Page, yeah, Elliot Page stars in Super, and when he was Ellen Page, so that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Right? How many people have a starring role by Ellen Page in a movie? There can't be that many of them, right? She's now Elliot Page. It's Elliot Page from now on. So I think Super retains a lot of value, and it's a terrific film. And she and Rainn Wilson, and of course Lloyd Kaufman, are terrific. They're hashtag fantoxic. And actually, they are fantastic. I mean, they're great. They go all the way. It's a very funny, dark movie, and has a lot of soul and truth to it. Hashtag truth and love. Exactly.
Truth and love. Yep. I remember actually. I think I saw you at WonderCon when it used to be in San Francisco.
Yeah.
And that same night, Super was playing at the theater next door, and James was there. So very much appreciated that. I got to see my own director's cut of Super.
That's terrific. Yeah. Well, that's great.
Also, is Mad Dog Morgan still with Troma as a distribution? It's one of my favorite ones.
Yes. Yeah. Of course.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think we put it out. We can't put it out on Blu-ray, I think, because it's damaged negative or something.
Oh yeah.
There's some reason, or maybe we did put it out on Blu-ray. I don't know. That's a good question.
Yeah. No, that's one of my.
That's a good one. Yeah, you get to see behind of a very famous star, right?
Yes, you do. All on white rum, supposedly, for the whole time.
But the director is a very good director, and a wonderful guy, and a great artist also.
Philippe Mora, I think is.
Yes, boy, you're amazing. You are amazing, Benji. Yes, Philippe Mora, and I've spent a lot of time with him and his wife. They are wonderful people. And what are I just can't remember what he's done. A couple of other movies I've seen, but they were terrific. But I just the cat tranquilizer is kicking in now, along with the COVID. So my memory's not so good.
Yeah, but well, it's good to see you're in good health.
He's an interesting director, without a doubt, and I think Mad Dog Morgan is a masterpiece. It's great, and it's filmed on location in Australia, right?
Yeah. Oh, it's a fascinating film dealing also with indigenous rights. On top of that, I think a film definitely that was not looked at in a certain light as almost like a crazy Dennis Hopper one-off for years. And
yeah, well, people again, if it's an independent film, that people don't want anything that's different. How did we get Cannibal the Musical? The movie was almost finished when we got it. It's missing the beginning. That was all. Or maybe the end and the beginning. But it was funny as fuck when we saw it. Any idiot could see it was funny as fuck. But these shitheads who have money, they're getting paid for turning things down and living beyond their means, so they can't afford to lose their jobs. So they're chicken shit. So they rather make Batman 152 and play by a committee than make a movie with any guts to it. And that's why a lot of independents get overlooked. And lucky for Troma, we discovered Trey Parker and Matt Stone, and they put me in Orgazmo. I have a nice part in Orgazmo, which is a hilarious, wonderful film with a great soul to it, a great message, and political satire and sociological hilarity. And they're just great guys. And of course, Terra Firma, they and Lemmy have a public service announcement together. I laugh just thinking about it.
Funny you
They're
mentioned
so
Orgazmo.
different from each other. What's that?
Funny you mentioned Orgazmo. That I call it my semi-autobiographical tale of my 18 to 19-year-old years as a Mormon missionary. So
Oh, wow.
I did grow up, so I know how to dress up nice, I guess, for people.
Isn't that something? Well, you do dress up very nicely. You clean up very nicely because I've seen you when you're dirty.
Oh yes.
And well, you were fully dressed, but you were a little bit muddy.
Yeah.
sleeping in that mud puddle underneath a statue. But at any rate, oops. Earphones. My assistant
Right
Tom D'Amico, I asked him to get me the earphones with the mics, knowing how cheap I am. He got the absolute cheapest thing he could get from a street vendor, and he's right. I am a cheap bastard, but they keep falling out of my ears. The hair that grows out of them keeps pushing the earbuds. The earbuds. It's so delicate. Earbuds. They're full of earwax. Why are they called buds? They're not buds. They're disgusting. They're earwax removers, maybe.
You gotta, yeah. I drain every couple weeks the ears, especially now with all the COVID. So.
Oh, you dream about ears?
Oh no, I drain the ears. Drain the ears.
Oh, you drain them. Oh,
Yeah.
I thought you were supposed to put hot lead into your ears.
Yeah.
I didn't.
Being a Mormon country boy growing up, I had to, take out all the dirt and all the sin as well.
Well, I have to say, Trey Parker, when I knew them well, and I have not seen them for a long time, but he was obsessed from the beginning. Well, hey, Cannibal the Musical's got the whole thing there. He was obsessed with Mormons and the Book of Mormon. I don't think it's as funny as Cannibal the Musical, because it couldn't go a certain direction. But Book of Mormon is brilliant too. It's wonderful. And look at it's launched those two dudes as stars, and it's still playing, I think, isn't it? It'll play forever.
I think since
Brilliant.
since the shutdown, I think it was still going. So they'll be back. It's that and Hamilton everyone talks about. That's the two music.
Well, this is interesting. The Mormon Church is very happy with Book of
They
Mormon.
are.
It's attracted a lot of new people to the Book of Mormon. On the other hand, it's been determined that Hamilton not only owned slaves, but bought and sold slaves. So is he going to get canceled now that we've discovered the truth about Alexander Hamilton? Does he get censored or like Al Franken? Can you imagine if Al Franken had owned slaves? Holy fuck, they would have lynched him. They would have killed him. All he did was make a picture with his hands like this, and he gets kicked out.
Al Franken.
He gets kicked out of the U.S. Senate. He's one of the few honest, one of the few real public servants we had who were not there for money or lobbying or power. By the way, hashtag Shakespeare's hashtag settle for Biden. Hashtag settle for Biden has appointed all these people who have rotated out of hedge funds and lobbyist funds and have been in the revolving door of I'm in the government, then I go into Department of Defense, then I go into the next government post, then I go into another CEO. It's a revolving door, and here they are back. So we got the normal. Everybody wanted an 80-year-old rich guy, white guy, president of the United States, putting in all these people that come out of hedge funds and come out of lobbying funds. Two firms in particular, I think more than half the cabinet has birthed have been birthed by these lobbying funds, lobbying firms, if the New York Times is to be believed. I don't think the New York Times is fake news, although they do blow in the wind a lot. They have no guts, but they do post a lot of real news. So there you go. And they definitely supported Settle for Biden. Hey, I gotta go. I think I've got to go now. There's
we gotta roll out.
Well, yeah, you're on a schedule. I got nothing to do. Yeah.
I thank you for your for the Lloyd Troma Soap Box at that end right there. And I am a certified substitute teacher now for the state of California. I can't wait to teach at Nuke'em High, wherever that may be in the near future.
Please, if you ever need a guest speaker to put the kids to sleep or calm them down, I'm there. Old Uncle Lloyd, Uncle Lloyd.
Professor Lloyd, Uncle Lloyd, hashtag Shakespeare Shitstorm. We can't say more than just say thank you for 47 plus years, because it started in 47 years, but you've been around for a lot longer, working on movies, telling us to tell stories that definitely a lot of people aren't getting out in the world. So, and also, when the world is safe again in the movie theaters, I would love to show Out of the Blue and Mad Dog Morgan on a double bill somewhere in a theater.
Okay.
Dennis Hopper fan, and there's an amazing 4K of Out of the Blue that just came out. So I think that compliments.
Great. Well, let's make all that happen. And better yet, get the hashtag Shakespeare Shitstorm into your local theater. And I will definitely show up. I'll pay my way, and we'll do a weekend of Troma. And you'll curate, and you take not that you need it, but you would take an agent's fee, and also we'd have some fun together.
Yeah, I think that sounds like a plan. We got a perfect theater venue for you too down here.
Let's do it. Let's make it happen. You've got Tom's email, and please tell your fans I'm available on Twitter if they want to talk to a sad, drunk old man.
Well, good to know that you're safe and healthy out there.
But you have your future ahead of you, and you're a nice guy and a talented guy. And thank you very much, Benji. Keep making movies. Keep making those movies.
Yeah, and same here. I'm so excited for what's coming up for Troma. And
well, thank you very much. And stay tuned for Divide and Conquer by Mercedes the Muse, Kill Dolly Kill by Heidi Moore, and Eating Mrs. Campbell by Liam Regan, all of whom are Troma alumni, and all of whom have movies on Troma now. And I'm producing all three of their next movies, which are all very, very different. One is feminist, one is LGBTQ musical horror, and one is the good thing about cannibalism.
Oh yeah, we'll stay hungry out there and stay
cannibalism. Eat your dead. Eat your dead. All right. Anyway, I better go. I'm boring enough. Thanks so much. Thank you, Benji, and appreciate it. I have to change my adult diapers now.
Same here. I got a lot of coffee going through me. So
you're a nice guy. Thank you.
Take care, Lloyd.
Bye. Bye.
Hashtag everyone. Lloyd Kaufman. Hashtag Shakespeare Shitstorm. Also, Feartown USA. We didn't talk about that, but that's Brandon Bassum's other feature that is here at Another Hole in the Head. I'm Benji Carver. Follow me at Movie Hopping IG, Movie Hopping Benji at IG, Twitter, all that jazz. But that was Lloyd Kaufman, the one and only. Thank you so much for your time, and hope you all enjoyed Troma's hashtag Shakespeare Shitstorm. And special very thank you to Tom DeMicho, Lloyd's long suffering assistant out there. Tom is a great guy, and John Brennan and Justin Martell on top of that as well. John, give me a call. John Brennan, give me a call. Take care.